Spectacular video from above shows the size and the strength of Hurricane Dorian as the storm continues to move really slowly towards the north.
Today's Hurricane Hunter flight not only shows the destruction around Great Abaco, but you can also make out the eye and waves from 10,000 feet above Dorian. The storm continues to inch its way towards the U.S. coast, but the big question, how close will it get to Florida? Dorian is doing its thing, and there's also another disturbance happening in the Gulf.
Chief Meteorologist Greg Bostwick joins us right now with the first look at our forecast.
And I guess the best thing we say about all this tropical activity is nothing threatens the Texas or Louisiana coastline, at least the upper Texas coast. This is live at Jacksonville Beach. You can see a little bit of a bounce in the camera. Pretty gusty winds there on the northeast part of the Florida Peninsula. You can see the wave action here on the Atlantic as seas begin to build just offshore as the hurricane continues to advance to the north. Getting a little bit ragged here. You can see the eye wall not nearly as well developed as it was yesterday. In fact, it's down to Category 2 status and should continue to gradually lose strength. Notice the real weather activity is offshore and it should stay that way at least for the next 24 hours. We get up toward Thursday, though. It gets very, very close to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It kind of skirts up the coastline through the Outer Banks. Notice it does drop off to Category 1 storm at that point. Winds right now are at 110. They should continue to gradually wind down. Then in the Gulf of Mexico, we'll take a look in just a moment of Ferdinand, but this is another view. This is a satellite presentation. You can see it getting a little bit disorganized now as it works further to the north. Then over the western part of the Gulf of Mexico, newly named Tropical Storm Ferdinand is to the northeast of Tampico, Mexico, southeast of Brownsville, right in this area. It doesn't have much farther to go before it makes landfall, so we can X that off the list as far as any concern for us. Good news there. Our heat is the story. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
And as Greg mentioned, Dorian may be losing some of its energy, but as Greg mentioned, it's still a Category 2 storm and still packing dangerous winds.
So that movement to the north means the impact of the storm is finally being felt along a Florida coast that's been on edge since last week, really. Brad Bell is in Martin County, Florida, where the beaches there are getting pounded.
So right now we're on one of the beaches on Hutchinson Island, just off of Stewart. It is high tide and we believe the winds are just about at the peak. There are gusts of 50 miles an hour and more. And what they fear here is happening to a minor degree, and that is the waves are so big they're getting up and over this protective dune and into the waters behind, something they call a breach.
With Dorian finally creeping north, the surf here on the Florida coast is up in a big way. Towering waves crashing ashore, the beach eroding before our eyes. This home on stilts now separated from its driveway, the frothy ocean rolling right through. We meet the owner's daughter and son-in-law trying to check the property, but turned back by a flooded road. We share photos.
This is the water at high tide, huh?
It's sad, but you know, it's Mother Nature, can't do anything.
Fortunately, her 90-year-old father did evacuate. So did this woman, trying to check her house today. She and her friend also stopped by that flooded road.
It's not worth it because it's just a house. You know, you can't do anything about it anyhow. What's she gonna do?
There is nothing she or anyone can do now but wait and hope the waters rise no more. Martin County Sheriff's Captain John Budensiek patrolling Hutchinson Island, surveying damage, hoping this is all Dorian has in store for the area they call the Treasure Coast.
I'm just glad everybody's safe and relatively okay. It could have been a lot worse.
And so the good news here on the island is, while this is truly a dramatic scene, and while there is water up approaching and under houses, there's a real feeling this could have been so much worse. On Hutchinson Island, Brad Bell reporting.
And curfews are going into effect in many areas of Florida as Dorian continues to threaten the coastline.